So we're talking about global business on the show and how business has grown outside the country into a global sense. So the question of, as people are going into college and then graduating, how do they prepare or best prepare for a career in global business? What can they do?
Well, that's a really good question, because I'm right in the middle of something right now. I mean, obviously the number one way that most universities operate today is through the study abroad program. So as an example, Lehigh has 4,700 undergraduates, but we send about 500 kids overseas, okay? Well, what's starting to happen is these overseas programs are becoming much more than just education, especially the global ones for business and engineering. But about 2 or 3 years ago, I was talking with Lee Iacocca, and we were talking at the Institute. And what we really wanted to see was students who could go overseas and work in a foreign environment. I mean, really work, right, for 2 months or longer, right? And thank the Lord, in September, Lee came to the university and pledged a $5 million gift to Lehigh on a program that we started called the Lee Iacocca International Internship. So this summer I'm sending 15 students overseas to work in different countries in their discipline, right? And one of the reasons we're doing it is I was in a meeting with 25 of the largest employers for Lehigh a few months ago, and these were pretty big employers, right? And they said, listen, if a student goes to a study abroad, and I've got 100 resumes, I'm going to put their resume in the top of that pile somewhere. It's going to be in the top 50%, and we're probably going to get to it. But if you tell me that that student has gone overseas on their own, worked in their discipline for a foreign supervisor, lived on their own in that culture, we're going to talk to them. No matter what's in that pile, we're going to talk to them. Because our business is global, all 25 of them, global business. Yeah. And these people have taken a risk that a lot of students won't take. And that's one of the ways you can prepare yourself. Besides, you can take international relations courses and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but trying
to... son has been doing that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's really important that anybody who's thinking of these global aspirations really do the research, because some people, like myself, I don't travel well. When I was younger, I thought, hey, I want to travel the globe, and it just wasn't for me. But by digging into this and doing these intern programs, that's a perfect example. What is it like being immersed in a totally different culture?
Right.
What is it like living with people you've never lived with before, you know? And some of the simple nuances that may sound glitzy and exciting coming into it, but when the reality of it all, you wonder, you start to wonder, am I really in the right place?
Right.
Yes, it is important to think globally, and I think we all have to interact globally. I mean, look, most of our tech service phone calls go to somebody outside the country, right?
Well, sure.
So we have to realize that that's a part of everyday business, but really preparing ourselves personally to make sure that that's something we want to dive into, I think is so critical, especially early on. Right. Even late high school, certainly in college.
And the language is a big issue too. As you pointed, one of the issues is when you get into another culture, and it does have some really glitzy and exciting things, but all of a sudden you have to exist in another language.
Right.
And English, I mean, we're lucky for Americans because English has become the universal language. I mean, many of the students I send overseas are being sent overseas to businesses because they want an English-speaking businessman or woman in their organization, right? And that's good. But you're going to have to exist in another language in some places, and some people aren't prepared to do that. And in America, unfortunately, a lot of college students take 4 or 5 years to get into college, and then almost 85–90% of them drop their language the first year of college.
That's keeping those language skills are important.
Really critical. There's been a big ticket for my wife because of all the languages that she's speaking and writes. And today, the business she's in, she's writing and reading and talking to people in 3 different languages, Italian or Spanish or French.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So yeah, it's important. But not everybody's cut out to do it, that's what Glen said.
Yeah, you got to figure that out early on.